Warning: the podcast you are about to hear can get descriptive and graphic. If this disturbs you, please stop listening. For the rest of you, enjoy the show. All right, guys, thanks for coming back to the King Ugly Crew tonight. Tonight, we are going to talk about fa-la-la-la fails. I think that's how it goes, right, Case?
Well, if you're going to sing it right. Fa-la-la-la-la-la-la-la fails.
All right.
I've never heard
Case
this.
Wow, that was
nailed
quite
it.
the note. That was so great.
Nailed it. So, we're going to start off fails tonight, if you couldn't tell. And we're going to start off Case. We're going to go youngest to oldest. And Case is our first one. I'm pretty sure there's something about being pushed or something about this one. I don't know.
Such bull crap.
I guess let's see how it works out. So when I was 3, I should probably preface this with, so King Ugly built this 3-story tall jungle gym in our backyard in Twin Fall, Idaho. And it was...
Let me
A
preface this.
monstrosity.
It was 3 full stories to a little child. It was only about 2 6-foot tall. So it was 12 feet off the ground. So it was still pretty far off the ground. But to somebody who was
Dude,
3...
it was farther than 12 feet off the ground. It was 18.
The swings were 18, but the platform, that top platform, was only like 12, maybe
That
13.
pole was 20 feet.
Right, but that main bar came all the way over, and you had 6 feet to it, too.
So you're still at 14 feet tall.
Well, but we had the 20
the-
foot 4x4s in the ground, at least 2 feet, if not more.
The top of that was I thought it was 18 feet.
Right,
The top platform.
Not the platform wasn't, just the top beam was.
Oh, still, nevertheless, this thing was...
It was tall.
It was a
tall.
monstrosity, was what we named it. And so we're up there playing around. I don't...
Say that
what
again, Case. Enunciate. What was it called?
That's what the neighborhood called it. Dad called it a monstrosity. The neighbors called it a lawnstrosity. As in my
For
dad.
Lon Jensen.
Yes.
It had lots of funky angles. It was really cool. But anyway, go ahead, Case.
So it was just, we were up there playing around. It was me and Baron, if I remember correctly. And I don't remember exactly what happened. I just remember I fell down from the top flight, so however 12, 14, however tall it was. I fell all the way down because we had a fireman pole through the center of it. And
when you say fell...
Baron has declared that he actually pushed me, but now he denies it.
I think he pushed him.
You know how this
I
stupid
said we
story
take a vote.
goes. I'll
say Baron pushed him.
You guys all
I-
suck. You guys all suck. So how I
You
remember
were
it,
4 years old.
I was 5 if Case was 3. So I remember watching Case not fall off. I remember running out of the screen door and seeing Case and running and grab Mom. But I remember one year,
No,
Thanksgiving.
you guys were both on the top.
How would you even know? You weren't even there.
Somehow,
Yes, I
though,
was.
Baron was at the
okay.
top. Baron was at the top of the thing when Case accidentally fell, and then he conveniently had to go down and then tell Mom through the door.
Oh, yes, that's
The
absolutely what
accident-
happened.
The
I
accidentally was in
don't think
quotations.
I was there, so I'll take that one. I just remember coming
I
home
think
and
I was
Case,
there.
I
Case
don't remember
was either
if I was.
fallen or pushed through the ground.
And that's where I had my first broken bone. I broke my collarbone when I was 3. Thanks, Baron. Appreciate you, brother.
No problem, Case. I was only trying to clear you from the beginning since you were always bigger than me.
I see how it is, huh, punk?
I was just trying to stunt your growth.
Napoleon syndrome.
Fail.
Didn't work.
Napoleon's
Fail.
disease.
I guess so. I'm just the smallest in the family except for you, Lonnon.
Run
You're
it.
still smaller than me.
Baloney! I
You
am
may not
5'11".
be. You may
are
be a little
5'10".
bit taller. You may be a little bit taller. You're still smaller than me.
I will agree with you. I am still smaller than you. I
Never
have no
once
problem
did you
with
have
that.
the muscles I had.
I'm
Not
not a little
once.
fatty fat. I'm
I
sorry.
even when I wasn't a fatty fat.
Lonnon was moose meat.
I'm sorry. I just hear a bunch of short people whining.
Hey,
Okay, you know what?
Hey,
At least we don't
the
have
only
the
person-
tall people problems. Like you guys have to go get your necks fused.
Short people got no reason.
Yeah.
to live? Is that the song there?
Yep. That's the end of the lyrics. They got little hands and little feet. Anyway, okay. So Case
All right.
pushed off, or Baron pushed off Case, and now it's Baron's turn.
Baron, I'm pushing you to do it. Go.
Alrighty, so
Are you going to tell us you pushed Case?
no, I'm not going to tell you I pushed Case. I only told everybody that because I thought it would be funny, and now I'll never hear the end of it.
It worked.
So my first broken bone, which is totally unexciting, was when I was 6 years old, and we can say it's karma if you guys would like.
I
Actually,
will.
Brooke,
I will
You-
say
you-
it's karma.
Okay, so I broke my collarbone as well, but mine was done in a totally unepic fashion. I was rolling down this, like, it was a pretty good grassy hill. I mean, like when you're 6 years old, you
Is that the one
soldier.
next to the Provo Temple? Was that where
Yes,
you
it
were
was
at?
right next to the
Yes.
Provo Temple. It was that
it was a
park that
good
was
hill.
over there.
That was a good
It was a
hill.
really
'cause,
good hill.
I mean, me and Dane were both 16. Well, we were older enough by then, and I can guarantee that sucker was a big hill.
So I'm rolling
It
down the
was and
hill,
steep.
and I make it about halfway down the hill, and all of a sudden I hear this pop, and I have a whole ton of pain, and then I continued to like try and walk it off, and Grandpa was there with us, and I tried to like hide it from everybody, but I was like in a lot of pain. I was like 6 years old, and I broke my collarbone, and then like got brought home, like never went to the doctor, and then as soon as we got back to Twin Falls, I think that's when we actually went to the doctor, and the only reason we went to the doctor is because I was jumping up onto the pool table and dislocated my collarbone.
Wait,
And
dislocated after you broke it?
after I broke it, I popped it out of place because
wait,
I was
so
trying to push myself up on the pool table.
So like the bone was in the correct place, healing, and then you re-broke it and it moved type of
I
deal?
don't think I re-broke it. It was like 2 days after, like
Well,
we
but
went
even
home.
2 days, you would start to heal. I mean, you
Yeah.
would start fusing back together. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you were doing that, it probably re-broke. I'll bet you didn't dislocate your collarbone. I'll bet it just literally re-broke and then moved. Gosh, that
Probably.
would suck.
You know what? I know it hurt a heck of a lot more than the first time I did it. So that time, Mom actually brought me into the doctor, and that's when I had to wear my. I actually had this like splint that would pull my shoulders back and a sling.
Which they actually don't do anymore.
Yeah, because when I broke my
Really?
collarbone when I was older, they never did it.
What do they
You
recommend?
broke it
now?
again?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't
so,
make it heal any faster.
Yeah, it was. I just remember being 6 and having to wear this thing when I was in kindergarten.
Huh. All right. Well, we'll save the other broken one for later.
It's just such an unepic story.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to Griff. Have you broken anything, Griff?
No.
Baron Unepic
Oh.
Jensen.
Bull. You have not broken anything.
You broke your arm when you were like 8.
I've broken no bones in my. I have no metal parts in my body.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I
yeah,
totally.
right.
Durr. Wow, Lonnon. Yeah.
So we'll go with the uneventful one. I broke my arm roller skating. The school would
Blading
not
or
let me
skating?
skating. The school would not allow me to bring my roller blades to the roller skating rink, and so I kept trying to go back to step on the brake to get on the brake, and I kept falling, and I eventually just broke my arm.
Huh.
It's really truly uneventful.
Where was that? In Twin?
Yeah, that's when I was 7 or 8 years old.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it wasn't like I got a brace. Like I wasn't even in a cast or anything. I've never
Oh,
actually had a cast.
So it was just a hairline fracture then? It must have
Yeah,
been?
nothing big. Kind of like what Aurora did, but Aurora's was a worse than what I've done.
Yeah, because she's in a cast now, right?
Yes.
Kevin, she slipped on ice and broke her arm.
Freaking funny. That's what it is.
Well, she slipped on ice and then she slipped like 5 more times, and that's probably if she didn't break it on the ice, she broke it the repeated other times that she fell on her arm.
We should have put her
That
in
day.
a bubble.
Well,
Yeah.
we were in. She should have wore snow boots, and then she wouldn't have had an issue.
You live and you learn
Yes.
while the parents pay for it.
Yep.
All right,
I guess
So-
it's me.
Lonnon.
I'm gonna do 2 real quick because they were within weeks of each other. I'm gonna go with my dislocated shoulders, and I don't think any of mine, other than the stitches that I'm going to talk about, have ever been medically diagnosed. So maybe I didn't, but it sure hurt like everything everybody says it does. So my first one was Power was playing roller hockey at Shoshone High School. They just set up the new high school, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come play with us?" And so I was going over there, and I literally just was on my blades, and I went to push off of a wall and kind of twisted my arm as I was pushing off the wall, and I think that's how I dislocated my first, and that was my right arm.
How?
I don't know, but like I couldn't do anything with it, couldn't pick anything up for a solid 3 weeks, maybe a month.
Wow. Okay.
And I still have issues with both my shoulders. Like they're both very painful. And so that one was a quick one. And then the other one, Dane will attest to this. And I don't remember which dirt bike it was. It may have been the KTM. It may have been the Husqvarna. But either way, I decided to go out dirt biking by myself. And Dad had a bedliner in the back of his truck. And it is very slippery when you're on the brakes trying to slow down to the back of a truck.
Yep.
in other words, they don't stop. I mean, the nice thing is at least you have grooves, so the tires can like go into the groove holes, so you don't fall over. It just doesn't wash out on you. But so I was like, I knew this after hitting the back of Dad's cab enough times, going in too fast. And so I was going up, and I was trying to get up just enough speed where I was up on top, but I wasn't all the way into the back of the bed, and I didn't get there. So I just gave it a little more gas, and boom, launched that sucker out the back. So the bike comes back down off the back of the tailgate. Bike's falling onto my left side, and I'm still holding it up. I don't remember which bike it was. I think it was the KTM. And when that happened, I think I dislocated my other shoulder. And then right after that, I went and got my now wife, was girlfriend, flowers, and went and took them to her at work. And she's like, "Are you hurting?" And I was like, "It's a little bit of pain." She's like, "You can't even move your arm." I'll deal with it.
Typical Jensen answer. Yep, typical Jensen answer there. I'll deal with that. I don't need to go see a doctor.
It's a flesh wound.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Technically a flesh wound. So that's mine. Now we got Dane. Dane, what you got?
I got a lot, but we're going to start with my first broken bone, and that was I was at some friend's house probably when I think it was like 5 at the Devlins, and Jeremy and I were playing on the picnic table. Well, I fell off the picnic table, and the picnic table fell over and landed on my arm and broke my arm. But I've broken. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't know you broke your arm before. That's good to know. I forgot about Griffith too.
Yeah, that was with Jeremy Devlin, right? Like you were over at their house, right?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, didn't I say the Devlins?
Yeah, you did, but like it just wasn't clicking with me. And then I remember you coming home with a broken arm.
Yep, but I've never had a cast. And so move on to my next. I've broken my wrists 8 times total. Twice I've broken them at the same time.
Yeah, but tell that story how. That one was the crazy one.
Well, you're thinking the one with the backstop, right?
Oh, yeah, I thought that was both of them. It's not? You're just one of them?
No, that was one. Yeah, that was just one. But gotcha. That story, so I was in 2nd grade, and the backstops that go behind, like home plate, and they're kind of shaped like half of a hexagon. You guys know, is that a good picture?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So it was on its side, and so you got one side going up at a 45-degree angle, another side going up at a 45-degree angle. Well, I'm in 2nd grade, and we're rocking the backstop back and forth, and it's picking us up on the other end. It was like 6 of us. Elijah was there, and Elijah's like, "Dane, you should go up on that other end, and we'll see if we can fling you." Well, being 2nd grade and looking up to Elijah, I was like, "Okay." So I went up there, and they kind of did it soft for the first 2 or 3 times. And then the last time they pulled as hard as they could down, and I went flying. And I just remember, I don't know how high I went. I think it was probably pretty high, but I just remember how fast the ground was coming towards my face, and put my arm out and broke my wrist. But the 2 times I broke my wrist at the same time, any guesses what I was doing?
Motorcycles.
Motorcycles.
I honestly don't know.
4-wheeler? I have no idea.
Cocaine.
Jump out of swings. Cocaine. No, jumping out of swings. So 2 times broke at the same time.
We have something in common then.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, that's how I broke one of my arms for the second time. My left arm. That's how I broke my left arm for the second time.
Yep. Oh, fun. And then, yeah, I've broken my wrists twice, jumping 4-wheelers and landing too hard on my wrists.
Ouch.
So that's what I got for now. I got more to come.
Oh shoot! Then I would just jump in real quick, and I'll talk about the first time I broke my arms. That's right, I broke both of my arms at the exact same time.
Nope, 8 days apart.
No, they were the same time.
Well, they were diagnosed at the same time, and he probably did break both of them at the same time because, go ahead, tell your story, because it will make more sense.
I thought you got a cast, and then like 2 days later,
that was
came back and tripped over the couch.
No. Griff was out pulling Sari around in the wagon and gave her stitches the next day while Case was still at the hospital getting his arms wrapped up.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, so I had both my arms broken at the same time. So basically, I had gone to my sister's gymnastics place and played around on all the equipment all day long, just hanging out. And I think I sprained my arms there because I overworked them and was just playing around too much. Well, that night we were saying we all going to do it.
No. Let's caveat that, because before and then after that, we were teaching you how to ride a bike as well, and you kept kept falling off the bike and landing and catching yourself.
Hold on, are we talking something? Is this when we first moved to Shoshone?
Yes.
Case was like 3, wasn't he?
No.
I was 7 when we moved to Arizona, so Case was 5.
Oh, okay.
And
Alrighty
we were teaching Case how to ride a bike, which Case probably doesn't remember that, but that was where
I don't.
Yeah, so we were teaching you how to ride a bike, and you fell off like 4 or 5 times and caught yourself with both arms. Really, me and Baron were teaching you. I remember it. I don't know why I remember it so distinctly, but I do remember that we were teaching you how to ride a bike.
Well, that definitely plays a factor in why I end up eventually doing this. So
Yes.
it was, I think it was either that night or later the week. I don't remember exactly when it happened, but we were saying we were doing family prayer and reading scriptures, and then I know our cat was pregnant at the time, and so someone said the cat was having the babies. I was super excited, so I jumped up, started running as fast as I could, being a typical 5-year-old. Couldn't slow me down for nothing. Well, a Kirby vacuum certainly slowed me down. Yes, I broke both my arms by tripping over a vacuum. Yeah, not super eventful, but man, it hurt.
Yeah, and Mayu mentioned that he broke it in 2 spots on one. So they knew it was broken, like so bad so that this was at night. Mom and Dad actually brought you to the hospital, which is saying something because that never happened.
I completely agree. Like we don't go to the hospital until it's so bad, because my
Yes.
right arm, you could see the bone. It wasn't coming through the skin, but you could see it was putting pressure on the skin. So they knew it was broken. Like
Both sides,
No.
front and back. Like,
both bones in my
Are you
arm.
sure?
Yeah, it was both bones in my right arm.
yeah.
So that's the reason they're like, yep, we're going to the hospital. So we're at the hospital. At this point, they don't know my left arm's broken. At the hospital, I'm getting wrapped up my right arm, and Mom keeps asking me, okay, if it hurts, just squeeze. And I kept saying, Mom, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. And she just kept thinking, yeah, it hurts. But then she just had this epiphany, like, hey, we need to x-ray his other arm. And lo and behold, my left arm was also broken. It was just crazy that I would go in there with 2 broken arms. So I am out. I'm there walking around with 2 casts on both my arms, and living life as a 5-year-old.
Just finishing the podcast that you and I both finished. Man, it's amazing CPS didn't get called on us then.
Seriously,
Oh,
man.
I'm sure they did.
I don't know if they did.
I mean, small town Idaho, it doesn't really seem like that would happen.
Yeah, you're probably right. But that is how people were able to tell Case and Baron apart when we moved to Shoshone.
Yeah, because they were almost the same size. 2 years apart, almost identically. But Case was almost
Twins.
always the
Yeah.
same size.
And
Yeah,
they
const-
always look like twins.
Well,
it's kind of like he
I'm-
was Arroyo and Braylon. They always asked if they were twins because Arroyo was always as big as Braylon.
And I was small for my size, and Case was extraordinarily huge for his size.
I just
Yep.
True.
my great memory of Case was the first week we went to church was sacrament meeting, testimony meeting, and Case went up to go bear his testimony and walks up there and plops both of his casted arms up on the podium.
Yep.
Just echoes throughout the entire hall. You know what's funny is
that was
most of these memories I actually don't remember. It's by you guys telling me about most of this stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's how it
Yep.
goes sometimes. All right, I think we're moving on to Baron's next one. Is it just as boring as your last one, Baron? Should we
Pretty
just start
much.
calling you Baron Boring or Boring Baron?
Okay, I've only got one real exciting story. So the next one was another broken collarbone. I was 15 years old. I never actually played football. I'm going to preface that. The older boys played football. The younger boys, we didn't. Griff, I think, tried out, but that was as much as it got.
Griff, I thought, did in 9th grade. And
No,
did,
He tried out.
I didn't. I went and did practice, and then
that was it.
just decided I didn't want to do it.
So we were playing touch football in PE, and I
Where?
am...
In Vegas?
Yeah, in Vegas at Silverado.
Wow. Sorry, I didn't think that was a thing still in Vegas.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like tackle. It was just touch in PE, like 2-hand touchers, flag.
Oh,
It might have been
right.
flag football.
Yeah.
So me being the small guy, for whatever reason, I was always the guy like the defender, I don't know, lineman. So I would
So
try
are
and block
you-
the other people.
Are trying
What?
to say
Yeah,
you
I was
are
small.
the small
I was
guy?
PE. Yes,
Yeah, but-
I'm the small guy.
But the small guy's not a lineman. Why would you have been a lineman?
It's just because it was a stupid, easy position. You just keep the guy from getting the ball.
Oh.
I wasn't good at sports. Like, still not
Okay.
good at sports.
Okay.
I'm right there with you, Baron.
He was small too, may I mention.
Yes. So, I was just trying to block somebody, or I was going after. I don't remember. I ended up hitting somebody wrong with my shoulder and broke my collarbone. And so yet again, one of those times I didn't really tell anybody. I didn't go to the nurse. It was 6th period PE. I just wanted to go home. So I rode the bus home with a broken collarbone, got home. Mom checked it. Dad checked it. They're like, yeah, it's broken. I think Dane even came over and checked it. And
That's what he was doing as PT.
yeah, that's when he was doing physical therapy. So I was like, well, whatever. Everybody, I mean, they all know it's broken, so long as it's not
Can't do anything
dislocated, it's
anyway.
fine. Yeah. So I was like, why go to the doctor? And we were also really broke at the time. So I just dealt with it and kept my arm in a sling for 6 weeks. And that was pretty much the end of that one. Really boring.
Fun.
Yep. All right, Griff, you got another one? Are you going to go for your big one?
I've got, before I broke my arm,
Wait, what?
I got stitches in my finger because I was playing with a lawnmower, riding on a lawnmower in the backyard, and got it stuck between the coil and the fan.
Ooh, that
What?
sounds fun.
Ow.
I was there with him. I had to
Yeah.
go run and grab mom or dad or somebody because it was like stuck in it. It
Yeah.
was good times.
Wait. So,
Mom.
on a riding lawnmower,
No.
it was stuck.
So Dad had a riding lawnmower in the field in Twin. There was a riding lawnmower back there that didn't have a safety cover over it. The lawnmower didn't run. It was just a lawnmower. And I stuck I was spinning it because it was moving forward, and I ended up getting my finger stuck in it and getting stitches. That's my only stitches that I remember.
So you're the reason why MSHA has so many rules about guarding. Got it.
Well, the guards were already in existence, but I mean, I was 5,
6. I was 4.
something like that. I mean, not old enough to like. At the end of the day, yeah. So,
Wow.
nothing
All right.
exciting.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's nothing exciting. All right, my next one, I guess, is stitches. I'm just going to go through all of mine real quick. I think I have 3 sets of stitches in my chin, 3 sets of stitches in my head, the back of my head. Both of those were from trampoline accidents, so it was either my chin hitting Power's head, or vice versa. My head hitting Power's chin, and usually we both ended up with stitches because it just splits the skin right there because it's thin enough and bone, and so yeah, it's either 4 or 6. I can't remember, but you can't see those ones really. I'm sure if I shaved my head down pretty far, you could probably see the back ones. And then the other one that you can see is I have a scar on my eyebrow that is from stitches as well. That one I don't remember if it was the bathtub or if that one was the tile at Grandma Cousset's house. One of the two. So other than that, that's my stitches story. Dane.
All right, I'm just going to go through what I've got left. So, motorcycle, I went off of a jump and I was on the gas too hard. And so the
What?
motorcycle
No.
went straight up. Yeah, came over on the back of me. And so instead of landing on the suspension, me and the bike landed on me and I landed on my tailbone and broke my tailbone. And that was, I think I was a sophomore in high school then. And that, oh my gosh, hurt so bad.
Did you have to do a donut, or was that somebody else?
Yes.
I know Doug did at
Yes.
one point. I don't remember if you did.
Yes, it was terrible. And then I think my junior year, we were out it had just snowed like a whole bunch, and our Suburban, what was the Suburban on 33s?
Yeah, 33, 12, 5, 15, or 16.
Yeah, so Suburban was on 33, 12, 5, 16s. We just put a new motor in it. It was middle of winter, and we're like, hey, you know what would be fun is go out in the field and have the Suburban pull us around on the snowboard.
Well,
So-
and it was Nick's field. He was a friend in high school of mine, and so we thought it was fairly flat. Come to find out, I don't think it quite was that. And I think I was driving, wasn't I, Dane?
I don't remember if you were driving or if Nick was, but I remember you telling me when I crashed, we were doing, I think, 45.
Yeah.
And so I broke ribs on that one. And broken ribs, I don't know if you've ever had broken ribs. Broken ribs are the worst.
They hurt so freaking bad.
That's the second worst pain I've ever been in my life is broken ribs. And I'm going to tell a story with that one real quick. So, wait, you guys told me not to tell this. I'm going to tell it anyway. Is that cool?
That's fine.
All right.
Go for
So June 22nd, 2019, my best friend Todd says, hey, Dane, why don't you go out to Mesquite and ride on the motocross track with me? So, I'm 40 years old at the time and like, hey, I'll go ride on the motocross track with Todd. So I take my bike out and we go riding. And I got there on Friday night and we rode around quite a bit on Friday night. And then Saturday morning, we spent the night there and we started riding around on Saturday morning. Well, there was this it was a double, and I hadn't taken it yet. I'd kind of just crept over it, and then I'd hit the next one pretty good. Well, Todd's like, just hit it. This is how fast you got to be, and you'll be fine. Well, I was going too fast. I think he said, third gear, barely any gas, and you'll be just fine. Well, I was like, oh well, third gear, barely any gas. I mean, second gear, pretty good gas. On it pretty good, and well, that's not the case. So I went off the jump and 2.5'd it, landed into the face of the third jump, doing about 35 miles an hour, and so when I hit I got slammed forward. My chest, the thing that I remember before I passed out is that my arms were so far back and the handlebars were so far into my chest, and I just thinking, wow, my arms are really far back there. And then the next thing I knew, I was waking up on the ground. But and I guess Todd said I asked him the same 3 or 4 questions about 10 times, and he's like, about the 5th time I asked him, he was starting to get really concerned that I was really hurt. And so anyway, I broke 3 ribs on my right side, 2 ribs on my left side, broke my sternum, broke my collarbone, lacerated my spleen, and lacerated my liver. And speaking of not wanting to go to the hospital, I was just going to drive myself home until I almost passed out. And I almost threw up, and I couldn't imagine throwing up with all that stuff going on, just how bad I hurt. And so once again, ribs, I would live with a broken collarbone for the rest of my life if I didn't have to feel my ribs. That's what I told the doctor, and that was terrible. So, and then the last thing that I did that is probably the dumbest is I accidentally lit myself on fire.
Yes, so, man of fire right here.
So last day of school, sophomore year, we live out in the boonies, and so it's cool if we have this bonfire, and everybody was coming over, and all Lonnon's friends and my friends were coming over, and so I had gone out and I'd poured gas on the pile, before it was lit. I made a trail from the pile, up like a trail of gas from the pile to where I could just throw a match, on the trail, and it would go light the pile because I knew there was a lot of gas on it. Well, I didn't realize that there was a puddle of gasoline where I was standing in it, and I didn't realize I'd also gotten gas on my legs and on my arm. So I went to throw the match in, and the whole thing just, Lonnon, what's the noise it makes when gas goes up real quick?
I don't know. I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
And that's just pretty much it. Just a big fireball, and so I was in the middle of that, and then so Lonnon, tell them your perspective.
So my perspective, basically, Dane. I remember watching Dane pour the gas. And then he's like, oh, crap, I forgot a lighter or a match, whatever it was. I don't remember which one it was. And so he runs back in the house.
It was a lighter. It was a lighter. That's all we have. We didn't have a match.
Right. So he runs back in the house and he grabs his lighter, and he comes back out. And I didn't know where the gas trail ended, so I couldn't warn him and say that he was standing in the trail. Like, I wouldn't wish that my brother lit himself on fire, right? But come to find out, he lights the fire, and all of a sudden, I mean, I see the whoosh, and the big bonfire that we have goes up in flames quick, but so does Dane. I mean, like, literally, Burning Man comes to my mind. It's like, just looks like, if you can picture the best way to describe it would probably be like,
man is on fire.
No, it's more like a Yeti. Think of like a Yeti with fire. Like the hair of a Yeti or Chewbacca, right? Chewbacca on fire. So like all of Chewbacca's hair is fire. That's what I remember seeing. It's like that was Dane.
I just remember super high knees coming out of there, like running out.
Oh yeah, Dane was running like crazy, and
I smelled so bad.
Oh yeah, burnt flesh, burnt hair. It was potent in the air that night, no doubt.
Yep, and I didn't hurt at all. Like, I remember Lonnon and Doug and Kirk, and I think Todd was there, and everybody's like, "Are you okay? Are you hurting?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I don't even feel anything. It doesn't hurt at all. I'm just going to take a shower because I stink."
Yeah.
So, lo and behold, I'm taking a shower, and all of a sudden, I am in the worst pain of my life. And I turned the water all the way to cold, and I went in and told Mom and Dad what had happened. They were in their room.
Well, that was like the best thing you could have done with the cold water. I mean, now after burning my own hands, I mean, that was smart.
Sorry about that, Lonnon.
Well, yeah, but I was in a normal shower before that,
right?
For probably 5 or 10 minutes.
Which actually probably created a little bit more of an issue, to be honest with you.
But and I didn't hurt at all.
Right,
like nothing at all. It wasn't even warm.
Yeah, that's how mine were.
yeah, it's crazy. So I am in the worst pain of my life, and I think I got power to go in and tell mom and dad that I needed to go to the hospital. And
Dad sticks aloe vera on it.
I don't think he did.
No, he totally did because they had to scrub it all back off at the freaking. You said they took like a
yep.
Brillo pad to it to get it all back off.
No, they were taking the skin off. That's how they had to get the skin off.
Well, they had to get the aloe off too, though. Like, so they and this was fresh aloe. I mean, like this was from a freaking aloe bush or
From
plant,
a plant,
or whatever you want to call. Dad just
he
cracked the
cut
sucker
it
open and just
squirted it out.
Yeah, squirted it all over him and covered it. And he's like, "Yeah, you should be fine." And then they eventually take him, but I mean, I wasn't there when Dan got so like I remember him telling me, I don't know if they used brushes or Brillo pads or what they were using, but I remembered him saying it was the most pain he'd ever had in his life.
So it was on the way to the hospital. We're driving and I'm crying because I am hurting so bad. And keep in mind, I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm not, I don't know. I think I have a pretty high pain tolerance. Like I didn't cry when all this stuff was going on with me, with the motorcycle accident. I didn't even cry then, but I am bawling because I hurt so bad. And I've got my right arm and both my legs hanging out the window just to try and get some airflow on them to get them to cool down so I'm not in so much pain. And I'm yelling at Dad not to stop because when I stop, the pain level just goes through the roof. So we finally get to the hospital and they give me Demerol, and I had never been on Demerol. I never want to go on Demerol again. It's the worst drug ever. And the whole time they're saying you can't go to sleep. You can't go to sleep. And all I can think about doing is going to sleep after they put me on this. But yeah, so long story short, all my nerve endings had gotten burnt off on my arm and my two legs. And it took about 15 minutes for the sensation to get from the nerves to my brain that I was burning. And so that's why I didn't feel any pain. But I had first, second, third degree burns on my arm and on both my legs. Well, I had first, second degree burns on my arm. And then on my right leg, I had a small third degree burn. And my left leg, I had a really big third degree burn.
It was so nasty because like so picture this. I don't know if you said how he's dressed, but Dane back then wore basketball shorts a lot, and then he had white socks that were crew socks, whatever they're called, and he had to pull all the way up
mid calf,
and so he had
right up
basically
to my calf,
just above his knee to just about mid calf of a burn. The rest of it wasn't burned, and then a short sleeve shirt. So like arms burnt, and then just that section on his legs were burnt. So it was nasty because like where the socks were, it didn't burn, or if it did, it wasn't bad enough that it actually blistered.
It didn't burn at all.
Yeah, I
didn't
think
burn
so.
At all.
Yeah, like it protected him from the heat, and so it was the blisters that formed on those things were just the nastiest things ever.
Yes, and I had to, so like Lonnon said, they had to scrub all the dead skin off my legs and on my arm, and then they'd put Silvadene on them and they'd wrap them, and I had to do that almost every day or every couple of days, but Dad would literally take his pocket knife that was super sharp, and he would start, right above my knee where it was burnt and cut down to right above or right below my calf where it was, and he'd just peel that skin away in a big old sheet of skin. And we had to do that probably like 4 or 5 times because that skin was all dead too, and you just had to let it get solid enough where you could take it off. And yeah. I mean, to this day, I barely got any scars. Like, there's definitely scars there if you're looking.
I don't know how you didn't.
If I was walking around in shorts, you'd never even know.
Yeah, it was so nasty. Like, because like that bag would fill with water, the skin, not the bag actually, and it would hang down past, and it was good 5 or 6 inches wide, but it was a blister that was just the full width of its calf and just hanging down below that other part of the skin.
And
it was just
on the front
nasty.
of my shin too.
Oh
Same
gosh, I don't remember the
front,
front, but I totally remember the back.
So Lonnon, tell us about where you got burned.
Bad.
So yeah, I totally didn't even have that one written down, but basically we were working on getting ready for the Gambler 500. Baron wanted to get an engine fired up to make sure it would run for us, and so he was heating the intake up of the
Mercedes
engine. Yeah, and I mean,
I
he got it
was
running.
heating it with an
A torch.
acetylene torch. I mean, I had a rosebud torch on the end of this thing, shoving it in the intake to try and get the air hot enough to get it to start on diesel because I was sick of trying to get it started on ether. So then I'm sitting here go to crank the engine over, and Lonnon, the engine begins to fall over, and Lonnon grabs the intake like to hold the engine up with his bare hands. This intake's at least 500 or 600 degrees. I mean, I've been sitting here heating
500
it.
or 600 degrees. Like it was instant melted skin. Like it's probably some of the worst pain I've ever been in. Like I don't know if I can think of any more. And so
I
like,
had
for
nightmares
literally 48
after.
hours. I didn't have nightmares, but for 48 hours, or was it a little longer than that, Baron? Like it was that night, all the next day, and all the next day. So it was probably almost 50 or 60 hours that I just had my hands in buckets of ice water, until I just couldn't handle it anymore. And then I pull them out.
Lonnon, in your defense, you didn't see me heating it with a torch.
I
You had
didn't.
no
I didn't.
idea that I had
just
heated it
saw
with a torch.
you told me you were going to, and then me and Jason were working on something else inside of Griff's shop, and then I hear it starting, so we come out, and I saw it, start up, but then it was falling over. So I went to grab it, and it was just the wrong thing to do. And I mean, I don't blame you. It wasn't like it was your fault. I blame Baron. No, I'm the one that grabbed it. I didn't see him heating it up, but sometimes it is what it is. There's nothing I could have done about it.
It's a crappy situation that you just instinct, grab the motor before it falls over.
That's exactly it. It's like sticking your hand out of a vehicle when you're rolling.
Hey, I know about that.
And we also found out that don't use CBD oil on burns.
Actually, don't use any oil on
Don't
burns
use any oil
at all. Oil traps in the heat. So
Yep. Or butter. Don't use butter.
yeah, butter not good either. Nothing
Why
that
would
traps
people
in the
use
heat.
butter? That seems weird.
Just
Wives'
water as cold as you can handle it, depending on the burn. As cold as you can handle it, and that's what I was going to do. And then my wife's like, "No, you're going to Quick Care," and I'm like, I don't want to go to Quick Care. So we finally go to Quick Care, and I didn't even actually ever need the Silvadine. Didn't need it because my hand skin never tore. Like I never blistered up to the point where actually I didn't blister at all. So they never tore. I never needed
break
the Silvadine.
open.
No, like it
Oh, I
came
didn't
off
know
in a
that.
sheet. Like it was a sheet, probably a week and a half later. But the skin underneath it was a little tender, but it wasn't like new skin, as in like if it were dead skin. Does that make sense? So
Yep.
yeah, so that's my burn one. I mean, I guess we'll go to somebody else.
Real quick. So after I got burnt for probably, I think even by the time I was 22 years old, I was still having nightmares of I'd be down in a pit and a semi-truck, a tanker would be rolling down this hill into this pit and it would blow up and I would wake up when it blew up because I could feel the heat. And I just remember how hot that flame was. And just, like I said, so probably 6 years later, I was still scared of it. And I wouldn't go outside whenever they had bonfires. I'd just stay inside after that.
Well, you'd come out after we'd already lit it and everything, usually. It was just you were not outside when we were getting everything going.
Yeah,
it was a PTSD.
Understandably.
Yeah, absolutely PTSD. All right, so who wants to do another one? We want to just go back to youngest again, to Case?
No, let's end it off. The Griffiths, I think, has got the best broken bone story of everybody.
Without a doubt.
I don't know if it's the best story. I think it's kind of
It
boring.
affected your life more than anybody's.
That's
it affected all of our lives. Because we were all involved at that point.
Okay, well, then here I go. So, when I was 14 years old, my dad, we had just got a shop that was starting to get opened, and we were putting stereo equipment up on the roof. So there was a built-in office in the shop, and I was putting stuff up there. So I walked up the ladder that I was on, put them all up there, and went to go step on the ladder, and the ladder slipped, and the ladder fell to the ground, and I fell on top of the ladder and landed on my leg and broke my femur. And I was 14. So, I'm going to go with the story of happening, not that exciting. The after effects of it are I'm one of the few people that's ever rode in an ambulance. I don't remember, but Mom tells me she thought I was dead because Dad called Mom and was like, "Hey, Griff broke his leg," and she hears an ambulance in the background, and they've never called an ambulance for anything. I don't even know if Case
It was.
came round to got an ambulance.
It was so. No, I don't think anybody else was there but me.
No, I was there too. I was helping load up because you were there.
I
and
was
I think
in
your
the
kids
building.
were there.
Yeah, and my
You
wife
were in the
was
building?
there.
Your
Yeah,
wife.
I was in
so
the building
I was
when it
over
happened.
helping your wife load up the kids, and then I heard the ladder crash, and then Griff like yelled for help or something because Dad was supposed to be holding the ladder and wasn't.
Well, the terrible part about it was so like after he'd fallen on the ladder, I mean like you could absolutely see his leg was broken because he was laying on the ground and his leg was laying flat over the ladder, middle thigh. So like the one part of the thigh was at an angle, the other part of the thigh was flat onto the ladder.
I would be honest. You guys will be better at this story than I do because I
you were
don't remember
probably
it.
in so much pain, like I can't imagine.
I
It was so disgusting.
I'll be completely honest. I don't remember it being painful at all. To this day I dreamt about the pain, and because I used to wake up like for years afterwards, like wake up remembering what happened as far as the pain. But even like we got there and I sat in the hospital for 5 hours before I got any type of medication. And my most painful thing was while I was there is I was sitting on a bed for in traction and my back was hurting. I don't remember anything else. Like
That's Fuff. That's what I remember the most is when I came to the hospital. You were in traction, and there was, I kid you not, a 35-pound weight hanging on a rope at the bottom of your bed to pull your leg down so that your femur muscle or your femur bone would line back up. And like that's what I remember was a 35-pound weight.
Well, but at that point they had already done the surgery and put the rod in there.
I was
they?
no. I was out of traction immediately after that, and I'm happy that so we went to the children's hospital because I was 14. Well, I was 6'1" when I was 14. So
yeah, they kept asking him. I remember walking in there and they kept be like, "Why are you in here?" And he'd be like, "Because I'm 14." They had to go find him an adult bed. They had to go it was hilarious. They had to go find him all the adult stuff just so that they could fix him. It was pretty funny.
I'm sorry, it's not like in this day and age 14-year-olds aren't tall.
I completely
I agree. Yeah, it's just I was for whatever reason that's where I ended up, and they didn't have the proper, like I sat on a stretcher for the 4 hours. That was them finding the bed, getting it transferred, all of that happening, and like Mom and Dad kept going, kept telling the nurse you need to go get some medication for him, and it just never happened. And truly, like I remember them giving the medication when they pulled me off the stretcher because they pulled me off the stretcher right before that. They gave medication. They pulled me to the stretcher, and my bone slipped when they moved beds. When I moved from the stretcher to the bed, I'm pretty confident knocked me out because I don't remember making it to my room at all. I just remember it slipped, and then I don't remember anything past that. Like I literally,
yeah, I can imagine.
I just remember that I ended up in another room. And so I remember I woke up the next day, I was in traction. Luckily, I had all of my growth plates have already been done at that point in time. And so I was able to get surgery because if not, I was going to be in traction for 8 weeks. Yeah, so that my bone could heal because they can't put you in a cast. There is no cast that they can set you in. They can just set you in a bed and have you go through basically that healing process. They do this surgery. And so I went through, I have a stainless rod that goes through the center of my leg and 2 screws that hold my leg, like go through my marrow.
Where it's no longer there.
Yeah, I have marrow that bone is around it, but it's not in the same amount. And then all I've got told is like the stuff about the surgery, about how it was like the doctor was having to pound it. Nurses kept having to go leave because they were having a hard time staying in the room while they were pounding this rod into me, which I don't know. Obviously, I was asleep. I just remember going to the surgery and then waking up in the recovery room. I don't remember anything else. And it was like,
surgery.
Is it over? Yeah, that's like, it was like 5 minutes. And then they were trying to make me walk within a day. And I was already on my feet trying to walk.
It's just like knee replacements. You're 100% weight bearing right out of surgery.
Yeah, and my problem is my physical therapy was me trying to get my muscle strength back because they messed with my muscles so much when I was doing it. And that's like, it took me a long time to get my muscle strength back. And I was in a wheelchair.
Don't have it all.
I'm not bad. To be honest, it's actually hurt my other knee more because I favored that leg too much. So now I have knee problems.
I feel you.
Yep.
I feel you.
But that was, I still didn't go to school for 8 weeks because I was on crutches for 8 weeks because it took me a long time to even recover even after I got healed. And yeah. So
And
You were in a
because-
wheelchair.
Yeah,
Like, I thought you were in a
for
wheelchair when
4
you came home.
weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks. I was in a wheelchair. I didn't eat. I was 270 pounds when I broke my femur, and when I started eating, I was at
No
180.
way.
I
You
was
were 270 when you broke it?
250, 260.
I
was
don't think so.
250,
I'll
260.
bet you were like 190.
No.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, I'm with
I
Lonnon.
was
I didn't think you were big.
Maybe 215
I
or
was
20.
I was a minimum 220 because I've been 220
Yeah, okay.
since I was
I'll
I
say
was 6th grade.
I'll say 220 because I don't think you were 270.
Well,
Not anywhere close to 270.
I know when I was after all of the surgery, like after I had not eaten because I just didn't have an appetite, I was like 170, which was all put on very quickly again.
Yeah, then
so.
it was probably 200 pounds. I'll bet you weren't much over 200
It
pounds
was-
when you broke it.
It was all those Snickers bars that Skylar got you.
Right.
Todd. Mike.
Oh, Mike bought them for you. That's right. That's
All
awesome.
right.
Mhm.
So
Well, it's because of that whole thing. Griffey never graduated high school because he was never able to go back to school and make up for that, right?
Yeah. Not exactly, but they wouldn't send schoolwork home and they wouldn't do a bunch of other stuff. And like I showed up 3 weeks before the end of the semester, the end of the year, and they're like, oh yeah, you got to make up all this work. It's like, well, I've been gone for 8 weeks, sitting on a couch doing nothing, that I'd been more than happily have done that work.
right. Well, and Mom you just had teachers that wouldn't send stuff home, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's no big deal. We'll just, he doesn't have to do it." And then they got back, and it was like, "Oh no, he has to do it all still." And it's like, that's
Clark High
ridiculous.
School District.
Yeah. And then I even failed PE because my PE teacher's like, well, you have to dress out. Like, dude, I can't physically put my pants on. Like, I can't bend that far, and so they flunked me in PE too.
And that's where
Yeah,
you
it's
just
pretty
give up.
ridiculous.
Yeah. So
All right, I'm gonna say one
Hey.
more of mine real quick. I only say that
Let's
'cause-
go by policy. Don't think anymore.
Right. So my last one I'm gonna go with, all the little kids. I don't even know if Baron or Case was born yet. Maybe they were. Dane's probably gonna remember this one, but basically, so Dad had a automatic starter on his Chevy pickup that was a manual transmission, and most of the time when you have a manual transmission, you pull it out of gear and you put it on the parking brake. That's how you park it. Well, for some reason, Dad pretty much always parked it in gear. Always first gear, right, Dad?
probably because the e-brake didn't work.
No, the e-brake worked all
No,
the
it
time. It
worked.
worked fine, but
Yeah,
he
first
just
gear.
he just kept it in first gear all the time. And anyway, so I went out to
Oh,
plug something.
come on. Who has a manual transmission? Have you guys ever had one? Anybody who has a manual,
Yeah.
you throw it in first when you park.
Nope.
No,
I do.
I don't.
My parking brakes always worked, but in the vehicles
Yeah.
the parking brake didn't work, I'd always
My
leave it in
parking
gear.
brakes never work.
Yeah, so my Subaru, I had to put it in first. My e-brake didn't work.
Yeah, see, all of my cars that I have manuals in, all have parking brakes at work. So it's neutral and parking brake. I never leave it in gear.
Well, good excuse why.
Dad didn't leave it in gear after this though. So, but anyway, so he had the automatic starter. I was reaching in the door, so the door was open, and I was reaching in from the driver's side and plugged something into the cigarette lighter. And for some reason, that automatic starter decided it was going to start the truck. It started the truck, was in first gear, and pulled me through the front of the house into the garage.
Hold on. You were leaning into the truck. You
Right,
weren't
I was
in the
hanging
truck.
out. Right, I was hanging
So
out.
your
of the truck.
legs were on the floor, on the ground.
Yeah. So yeah, I was hanging out of the truck. Door was open, and so it pulls me through. It's one of those garages that have two single garage doors, and then that center post. And so it pulls me through, and the door slams onto my knee. And so as we're going through, and it's pushing on that center post. And I'm sure to this day, I'll bet it still has that knee impression of my knee bone in the side of the door jamb. And but it when that happened, I basically it pulled some ligaments in my knee. It didn't break anything, but they're like it really stressed it. I ended up in a brace for probably 6 weeks, Dane.
Yeah, at least.
And then, it was really painful to run after that for the first, it was probably another 6 months that it would just all of a sudden start hurting when I was running.
But there was a knee indentation in the frame of the truck.
Yeah. And,
Kid you not.
and when the guy that actually repaired the truck, he asked Dad, he's like, do you want me to fix that part? Because I can fix that. And Dad's like, absolutely not. Do not fix that.
That's kind of a cool little memento. Like, how does your son like put a dent into the frame of this thing with his knee?
Well, door frame, but door frame's still pretty thick.
Yeah, that part was it was only about 2 inches in, width. So, I mean, it'd be like doing and at that point right there, usually that's double thickness as well. So, I mean, it was
That's a pretty good hit.
Yeah. So like it smashed. So I must have pulled up one of my legs up into because my right leg wasn't the one that got squished. It was my left one. So I must have pulled my right leg up into the truck, but the left one, the door smashed. And then what was crazy is that we had stuff in there, and by driving the truck up and into the garage, it pushed everything that was in the garage back about 6 feet, and it pushed the back of the garage out. Like it was just no longer attached to the floor anymore.
Well, that will do it.
Yeah.
Right there.
The four-wheelers were now in the backyard.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, that one's probably, I mean, like that one didn't hurt, but it was like, I remember everybody running out because, I'm sure that, hearing the truck go through the garage.
It's not that we heard it, it's the whole house shook.
Yeah, I was going to say it probably shook the whole house because the garage doors were down. So it went through the garage doors and then, took out a lot of that middle post.
And then it continued to try and start and continued to push everything forward until we disconnected the battery.
Yeah, and pulled it out of gear. So that was an interesting one. And then Dad didn't have a truck for 9 months while Amaro had it.
Yeah, it took a long time to get it painted, but he got an incredible deal on that.
Yeah, he totally did. All right, so I think that's where we're
I got one
at.
more. Let me tell it one more.
All right, we're at 58, better hurry up.
Okay, so I was on my mission. I'm 6 weeks in, so I'm still brand new. And we're out riding our bikes. I just got a brand new missionary companion that day. And I'm out showing him the area. We're heading from one appointment to district meeting. And I am riding on the road. And then I'm going to transition up onto the sidewalk to be able to push the crosswalk button, be able to actually cross the street. And I ride up this drive. Well, I go up the driveway, and I caught the little 1-inch lip on the bottom of the driveway with my bike. And I just reached my hands
Superman?
out. Oh yeah, it was just hilarious. Actually, it wasn't even Superman because it was all in slow motion for me. But I just totally fell over, like as if you were sitting on a bike and just fell to the side. I fell over onto a cobblestone driveway, broke my thumb and my wrist, and then continued to go to district meeting. So I just kind of iced it and called the mission nurse, and she's like, "Oh, I'll get an appointment set up," and da. So then I sat there through district meeting for an hour. Then we had a zone meeting for an hour. Then the zone leaders yelled at me because thought I was flirting with this one other sister missionary who was in my mission district and I hadn't seen in 6 months, in 6 weeks, but whatever. And I kept it together through all that, having a broken wrist and a broken thumb. And then finally went to the doctor. The doctor's all like, "Oh, it's not broken. It looks fine. I'll go get x-rays on you." So I'll go get x-rays later that day. Get x-rays. Still never get told that my hand is broken. So I'm just splinted up and in a sling again. And I'm riding my bike because it's my only means of transportation. But in the area I was in, it was super hilly. So I was riding down this one hill to get as much momentum as I could to get momentum going up this other hill. Well, we all rode rollers for years, right? So when you see a dip in the hill, just second nature, you pull back on the handlebars. Just you don't even think about it. You just pull back on the handlebars. Well, I pulled back on the handlebars with only one hand. So
That doesn't work well.
Oh, it does not. I pulled myself to the ground. My missionary companion almost runs over me. I am laying in the middle of the road, just not having a clue what happened. I'm in my full suit. My handlebars went through my pants. I am bleeding from my knees and my elbows, and
The funny thing is this mission didn't have any cars. And
No,
after
it
that
had cars.
happened, well,
It had cars.
But not that district that you were in.
Not the area I was in. Yeah.
Yeah, and they actually brought Barron in a car until they moved him out.
Yeah, but so I'm also living with members at this time. So I walk in the door and I look like I've been through a war. I'm splintered up on one hand and I'm bruised and bloodied on the other half of me. So yeah, and then 3 days. Well, and then the next day I tell the mission nurse I wrecked again. And that's why I always got a car, is because she's like, if you're on a bike right now, you get off of it, you push it home, you're never allowed on a bike again. So that's how I got a car the rest of my mission. It worked out perfect.
Works out great. That's what I'm saying.
And then went into surgery 3 days later to have 2 pins put in my hand.
I was going to say, didn't you have to have surgery?
Yeah, I had 2 pins put in my hand that actually stuck out of my hand. It was disgusting. And then when they went to pull them out, they really, he just came in, didn't tell me anything, grabbed my hand with a pair of pliers and ripped the pins out.
What?
No joke. Didn't tell me what he was going to do or anything. Just came in with a pair of pliers, set my hand on the table, grabbed it, and pulled him out with a set of pliers. It
No
was
pain reliever or anything?
nothing. Just
Holy
came in and ripped
crap.
him out. Just the shock of it.
He's
And the
lucky he
worst
didn't
part
get
is,
punched.
my companion is sitting there laughing at me.
I would have punched him and then the doctor.
It was close. Oh my good. Well, and it hadn't totally healed yet. I was leaving the area in 3 days, so they figured it was better for me just to have the pins removed because it was healed enough than to have to keep going back to Davis, California. So yeah, it was so bad. Hurt so much.
Ouch. Yeah, no good.
So that's my only real good story.
All right. I actually think this is going to be our longest podcast tonight. So I really appreciate everybody that listens to our podcast. We really enjoy doing these things. It just kind of brings us together as a family, and we enjoy having people listen to it. If you guys have anything you want us to talk about, obviously, shoot us an email at kinguglycrew@gmail.com, or
you can find us over on our socials, Instagram or Facebook at King Ugly Crew, and feel free to tag us in whatever you guys want to tag us in, and we're happy to comment, happy to just see what's going on with our listeners' lives. So yeah, it's been a great episode, and we just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and it's been fun.
Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe on whatever platform you listen to. That's Spotify or Google or whatever. It helps us get better reviews, so we can get more people listening to it. It's just fun.
So more people can listen to our show is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and so just make sure and if you comment, that helps too. We'll try and make sure we respond to every comment. I'm trying to get the one for iTunes figured out. It's shocker, a pain in the butt. So as soon as I get that done, I'll probably...
An app product?
No, yeah, it's never a problem. Yeah, so yeah, I played with it for a little bit. I haven't figured it out yet, but once I get that going, we'll be able to respond to comments on there as well. And we love to respond to comments and everything else. It's fun for our friends to be able to listen to these, and family and other people that want to listen to them as well. So it's been a great night.
And while you guys are on our socials, guys, if you have pictures of any of your fails that you want to share with us, tag us in it. We want to see what you guys went through.
Yep, that would be great. And well, have a great night and stay ugly.
Ugly.